just going everywhere. Hi beautiful, and welcome back to my channel. Let's get into this information. Periods are uncomfortable. There's kind of no way around that, but I was on a journey to find the best period products and make it the easiest and most enjoyable that it could be. And that's what led me to this video, is that I became the go-to for all of my friends because I was like, there's certain things that you need to know about. Like if you have not unlocked this secret, you need to know about this. There's so much detail that goes into them. So I've been using menstrual cups for like over, I think like 5 to 10 years, something like that. So I have a lot of opinions now after using them for so long, and there's so many more options out there. So I just want to share my experience with you and some tips and tricks, what I know, talk about the different kinds, give you all the details that I can so that you can make an educated purchasing decision. One of the things that I like about the menstrual cups and what led me to them is how bad tampons are for you. Now, I don't want to like demonize them because also we've come a long way. So there's new options now, different brands that I actually use myself as well, or I have tried that I like, just things like that. But one of the recurring patterns that I was noticing was that if I used tampons, I was having a lot of cramping, and just like not the same type of cramping, it was a different kind of cramping, but there was cramping. And when I was using the pads, I wasn't having that, and that led me on to believe like and question if the menstrual cup would work for me. So when it comes to the Diva cup, it comes in like a couple different sizes. Now, actually, they have a wider variety. And when I bought my first one, I believe it was like $50. And I was really concerned about that price tag because $50 felt like so much. But now, looking at the fact that I can have one cup that I can use the whole entire time, which isn't how I'm gonna recommend you to do it anyway, but a good heavy flow period could cost me $50 in pads and tampons combined. So I think that the price, although I think that that's ridiculous for any woman in general, for something that's gonna happen monthly, non-negotiable, I do think that the price is more justified if you know that it's gonna work for you. It's just hard to bite the bullet initially, especially if you don't know that it's going to work for you. So I'll just share a little bit about my experience as well. But before you make your purchasing decision, which you probably don't want to be standing in the line or like in the aisle at Walmart for 45 minutes trying to decipher this, I would go on their website and look at it and look at the helpful information that they have on there for like how to use it and the sizing and figuring out your sizing and all these things. Just like they do have one for women who have given birth. And I think that that is like a unnoticed thing oftentimes. My friends who, you know, have had different life experiences, they're like, hey, and I'm like, you know, it exists. So that's why the sizing is there, but keeping in mind that everybody's made differently. Like it's just like how all of our bodies are shaped differently, and I can try on the same top as somebody else who's the same size as me and they fit completely differently. So just because you didn't have a good experience with the Diva cup doesn't mean that the cup is bad in general. But let's talk about some things, how to like try your first cup. So not even application, I want to prep you. The cup is interesting because it's all gonna collect there, and then you're gonna grab it and take it out and you're gonna clean it out. And it is weird. So if you think it's gonna be delightful your first time, it's gonna be weird. Like that's just the matter of fact. If you've never done that, it's just like using a tampon or a pad for the first time, it is weird. So something that you can try, instead of like the Diva cup where you have one and you clean it, you can try something like the Flex. So the Flex actually has these, which are like little, disposable ones. So it's not one like made out of silicone that you clean one time, it's disposable, which these are expensive, but you can throw them away. So if you're not totally comfortable with the dumping and the cleaning out, a way to get comfortable removing and then taking care of the other steps later, the Flex cup will introduce you to it, just a few less steps, which is great. It is a totally different shape, so I'll show it to you. This is the Flex cup, and their silicone one looks very similar. So it's just like this, and to insert it, you just squeeze it like this and you slide it in, and then it just lives there. And then upon removal, I don't think this is stated in the directions heavily enough on like any cup, you want to squeeze it and have a good grip and pull it out in this direction. I find if you squeeze it a little and then you pull all this tension, that is uncomfortable to me. And if you squeeze it and then it like pops out, that is uncomfortable to me as well. So if you're gonna be using it days and days and days in a row, like it happens, you want to make sure that you have squeezed it. You can pull it out a little bit, get a firmer grip, and then pull it out a little bit more. And the other thing to be noted is if it has been working how it's supposed to be and there's something in here, you have like a liquid. It's almost like a little shot glass. So when you pull it out, you don't want to like have it spewing everywhere. Wear your bad pants in case if something happens the first couple times until you've practiced and you've really mastered it. So another tip that I have is for any cup that you are trying for the very first time, wear a pad with it. After wearing it so many times, you will master exactly how to place it or what angle to insert, or you know, these different factors that will change how it works. Like if you don't have the right angle, maybe there is some leakage and stuff like that. So just wear a pad as if you don't have it in, so that if something like that's happening, it doesn't ruin your whole day or ruin your whole experience with that product. Now, back in line with everybody's different shapes and sizes, that is why all these different brands are coming out with something similar but a little bit different, is because shape and size and preference. So for instance, the Diva cup is like wider in certain parts where the June cup is bent. So depending on your makeup, different ones will actually have a better, they'll just work more cohesively for you. So for me personally, I will have leakage with certain ones. So maybe I bought them and spent a lot of money and they actually don't work that well. But of course, price is a big determining factor. And then when it comes to insertion, so we talked about like the flex, right? So you just do the squeeze motion, and just with their silicone one, the same thing. The silicone one actually also has like a little area for your hole where, or for your finger, like a little indent where you can grab, and that's really nicely. So let's talk about the June cup. This is very comparable to the Diva cup and a lot of the other cups on the market. They all look pretty similar. So this is just what it looks like. And of course, you know, they have the sizing, so that's great. We love that. Okay, so this little thing down here for me does nothing, because if I pull it out using this, it's insanely painful. I need to have it squeezed for removal. So imagine this is filled with liquid, which this is a great thing to practice before you insert it. Maybe put some water in here or something before you use it for the first time, and practice grabbing it from the position that you would kind of be grabbing it from, and holding it at the bottom and squeezing it a little bit so that you can remove it, and then bringing it out and not pouring this all over yourself or like shooting it out. You know, if you do a tight squeeze motion, it's going everywhere. So just practice a couple of these things, because keeping in mind that when you pull it out like this, even that, like you see all that movement, the liquid in there, that would be an issue. You don't want to do things like that. So having a firm grip, you know, just a little squeeze, pull it out slowly, holding it. That's gonna be your best. So you want it like that. Now, Diva cup is basically the same. Like there's so many cups, so I'm not gonna name them all, but this is basically what they look like. So for insertion, I just push down like this and you squeeze it like this. Now I don't have to have mine like perfectly lined up like this. I can kind of just, you know, do like this, and that will work for me. That will also work for you. So you just make a little heart, is kind of how I look at it, okay? And you can do it with one hand, trust me. You can be out and about and do it with one hand and it'll be fine, but two hands is good too. So you get it like this, and then here's your biggest thing, and we need to talk about this. If you've been using tampons for years, tampons, I don't even remember now because I literally don't use them very often, but they go in at a different angle than the cup goes in. So read the instructions per cup, because these two cups are very, very different and they go in at different angles. So read them for your cup and make sure that you're putting it in at the right angle. So it might be 90 degrees, it might be 180, it might be, I don't even know the degrees, so that's, I don't know why I'm saying that, but you know, it might be a different direction that you need to put it in at. And you know, you're gonna do like a little squat stance, and then you're gonna practice applying it. Now when it gets in there, almost all of them, especially like the Diva cup, I find is very dramatic when it like out like this. So when it's out like this, it will create like a suction around the ring. Now it might get in this position where like it's something like this and you have like not a perfect ring, but you need to make sure that the suction is happening. So you can kind of tug it in and out a little bit to make sure that that suction is perfectly lined up all around it, and that it will not have any leakage, okay? So when it comes to wearing it, we already talked about application, we talked about finding the right one for you. It's kind of trial and error with finding the right one for yourself. I've recommended friends ones and then they've tried them and they've hated them, and then, you know, they've tried a different one and they loved it. So I would just recommend shopping on sale for these reusable ones that are a little bit more expensive, or seeing if you can get kind of a disposable version of the same shape and size, and then trying that before you get into the real deal. Like I said, the disposable ones are also great to practice and try out because you don't have to do the cleaning, you don't have to do the removal. There's just a little less steps, and that's gonna warm you up to this idea of the menstrual cup in general. Of course, period panties are also great, or like pads or something, a second barrier for testing of this. And I would say don't wear it for a full day or on your heaviest flow day. Those are gonna be hard days to practice this. Practice it towards the end a couple times before you fully commit to the conversion if you think you're gonna have a hard time with it. So now, how I like to do it and what I found causes the least irritation. As we know, you don't want things to get steamy down there because then it gets weird. You know, you can have like yeast infections, BV, things like that build up really, really quickly, especially when you're on your period and you're wearing pads and you're wearing layers against it and there's not enough airflow. Like that can cause a little bit of an issue. So how I wear mine and clean it and everything that makes there be no issues. Number one, every time that you change it out, it's gonna be most ideal if you fully rinse the whole entire thing off. This is not in the instructions. I've never seen it somewhere, but it has helped me so many times that I'm fully rinsing it. Do not clean it with soap. Don't put any soap on it when you're just in between wears, but just rinse it down real quick and insert it again. I think it also says that you can wear them for like 12 or more hours, but I would recommend, like, especially if you're on your heaviest flow day, like check it every time you go to the bathroom, but at least every 6 hours, just give it a rinse, especially because you're already gonna be in the bathroom. Like just rinse it off. Unless if you have to wear it longer, then of course you can, but I just find that, you know, it likes when it's cleaned. That's like the preferred method. So do the rinsing every time, and then at the end of the day, whole new one. So if you have used this and you decide that you like it, what I find works best for me is that back in the day, I was boiling it every single night. And then I found out that that was kind of hard to maintain. And then sometimes I wouldn't get it perfectly cleaned, and then that would cause issues. So having a repertoire of like as many days as you may get your period, you could have 5 to 10 of these, and then every day you can trade them out. So by the end of your period, you might have 5 of them, and then you clean them all at once, and then you have 5 new ones for the next time when you get your period again. Some may say that's extra. All I'm saying is I don't have any BV issues. I don't have any yeast issues. I don't have issues with it. This is the easiest method for me. I can carry this out for so long and I never have issues, and that's all I care about. Simply all I care about. And I think that's the thing, like you could be wearing it 24/7, who would do that? But you could, if it was like regularly cleaned, you know? You could be wearing it on your lightest flow day instead of like a panty liner. You could be wearing it swimming inside of a swimsuit, something like that, and nobody's gonna know. I mean, one of the biggest factors of switching over to a menstrual cup for me was how often we were going swimming and I was wearing a bikini, and like I had one traumatizing experience with a tampon string that just led me to believe I needed to be a menstrual cup girly, and then I had to convert, and that's really changed the game for me. So along with your daily changing, which like I said, don't buy 5 of these right out of the gate in case if it's not the right shape for you, or 5 of the flex ones that you can reuse. Buy a variety, like buy one, sample it on your last few days of your period, get used to wearing it on your heavy flow day, make sure that it works for both, and then go out and buy more of them over time as you have money for it. If not, if you're really concerned, if you have BV issues or just any of those types of issues, clean it daily when you're wearing it. That's gonna be the best. Rinse it, switch it, don't use soap on it, and now I'm gonna tell you how to clean it. So number one, you need to boil that thing. Boil it. I don't know who is rinsing it. I even got recently a steamer, but I'm not sure I'm convinced about that yet. So I'm not telling you to do that yet because boiling is the best method. So boil it. Hot water, boiling, boiling, boiling. There's like little holes right here, and these will get gunk stuck in them, and boil until those are cleaned or rinse them out or whatever. Then you could do a second round of boiling. You can use soap if you'd like, but I find that if I use any soap, I really also need to boil it again. And maybe that's just me, but like I'm giving you the tea, okay? Also though, baking soda is amazing. So I usually do a round of boiling it with the baking soda and then I rinse it off at the end, and I find that to work really, really well for me. So I boil for 10 to 15 minutes at least. If I have 5 of them in there, a little bit longer. Sometimes I boil them a second round. You can usually tell if it's clean or if it's still dirty. But don't be fooled into thinking it's clean just because it like looks clean, or you know what I'm saying? And over time they will get tinted, they'll get like stained a little bit. That's totally normal. They're still totally usable, but just boil them and refresh them as needed if you think that it's been too long since you bought a new one. You know, if you're having any issues down there, get a new one, test it out, see if that makes a difference. But definitely don't soap it down. There's no need to soap it down and then put it without boiling and then inserting. You're gonna have issues. You should never have soap in there. That is weird. That's gonna cause issues. So even if it's like Castile soap, coconut oil, I don't know, like people be saying some of this stuff is okay and it's not. Like you just clean it, just boil it and then be done with it, okay? It's very, very simple. It's very easy. It's very cost effective. If you're doing this for a long haul time, it's gonna be super, super cost effective for you. Of course, when you're just trying it out, it's gonna be weird at the beginning because you're not gonna know anything. The other thing that could be kind of tricky is public restrooms. It is still tricky. I've been using this for a while and it's still tricky. The number one thing I would say is have some like wipes on hand. Wipes are good to clean your hands, to clean anything. If you need to set something down, you can put a wipe down, you can set it down, you can do what you need to do after that. Of course, you don't always get the chance to rinse it off, but sometimes if you need to, you can use a certain stall, like a handicap stall or something like that, and then get like a sink in your stall, which is also super helpful, but it's still doable. So like I said, you don't have to rinse every time. You can just dump it out, insert it back in, rinse it at the end of the night or boil it at the end of the night, whatever you need, or trade it out for a new one. But I think that's all the tips and tricks that I have. If not, if you're not wanting to go for the menstrual cups, at least upgrade to like organic tampons or tampons with less preservatives in them, or just do your research on tampons and pads and like the ingredients. It's so crazy, and it's crazy to me how many of my friends didn't know, and then we get to yapping, and next thing you know, I'm like, what are you using? You're using that brand? Like, absolutely no. So I'm not here to bash anybody because everybody's got something specific that's gonna work for them. And it is worth taking the time, the trial and the error to find the thing that works best for you. And I guess if you have any questions, I'll try my best to answer them. This isn't usually the type of video that I make, but in my friend group, I am the friend that everybody goes to. So just trying to give you the information that helps you best. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.